Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Robbie, and you're watching Geek Level Asian, and we're finally back to going over the episodes of Power Rangers Dino Fury, now that episodes 9, 10, and 11 are exclusively on Netflix. So if you've watched my previous Dino Fury videos, you'll know that those were episodic videos. I would dedicate an entire video on an episode, but then I started to realize, like, A, this is really time-consuming for me, and B, not much is happening, so I decided to wait until I felt like enough stuff happened, and it just so happens that in these 3 episodes, 9, 10, and 11, I just did 1, 2, 3, but 9, 10, and 11, some interesting things happened, so I figured, why don't we do a video and start talking about them? I'm gonna be doing them out of order because I happen to think that episode 10 had the most rich story, so I'm gonna be doing 9, 11, and 10. Hope that that's okay with you. And before we begin, make sure to like this video because it'll help other Power Rangers fans see this video in their feed, and I'm still doing my giveaway. All you have to do is go follow me on TikTok, and you'll be entered in my Hasbro Power Morpher giveaway. So now, episode 9, I would say the least happened in. It was very much focused. It was a character. It was like a Ranger-focused episode. Based on Ollie. I'm not going to go into an entire plot synopsis, but for plot reasons, the entire team decides to go camping. Ollie's really into tech, which kind of gave me a Billy vibe. Everyone believes that he brought too much and that it's overkill, but it ends up being the thing that they need to save the day at the end of the episode. I should say Sporks of the week is Rustafa. Nothing too interesting about him, to be quite honest. So now what I did realize in this episode is I think the reason why I like Dino Fury so much, you know, the Ranger cast is great, but I really also like the villains. I didn't love Void Knight at first, just because, you know, I was comparing him to Megazord, but he now has much more of a personality, and I like the silliness. It almost kind of reminds me of, like, DBS Vegeta. You know, it's this serious character, but, like, he has silly moments. There's a point in the episode where Mucus is saying that Sporix like shady, cool areas, and Rustafa is like, hey, maybe we should check over by those trees. Those are, like, you know, and Void Knight's like, well, obviously, where did you think I was going? There's also a funny moment where Zato realizes what the punchline is to why did the chicken cross the road. I still get a kick out of he's still trying to acclimate to 2021. So now nothing plot driving really happens in this episode. Let's skip over to episode 11. So in episode 11, this is another Amelia focused episode, and we see Pop Pop again. This is about their relationship. Again, I'm not going to do a whole plot synopsis, but it's about their relationship, and there's a moment where, you know, Amelia is a little hard on Pop Pop, not because she means to be. She's actually hit with a mood beam. Basically, the mood beam will change your mood or amplify your mood. And what I also noticed in this episode is it amplifies a mood, I totally said that wrong, that is the opposite of who you normally are. So Amelia becomes really angry. Javi, who's super cool, becomes super emotional. Izzy, who's usually the brave, you know, running into battle, becomes very frightened. Zato, who's very motivated, becomes very lazy. Ollie, who's normally a little rough around the edges, becomes super happy. But basically, Amelia and Pop Pop have a butting of heads. She realizes something that she didn't know originally about, you know, her parents, and blah, 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 blah. They make up in the end. That's not the important part. The important part of this episode is that we get a new key, and that key is discovered by Pop Pop, actually, and then he hands it to the Pink Ranger, who he doesn't know is Amelia, because her identity is, you know, he doesn't know who she is. But it's called the Blazing Dino Fury Key. Now, correct me in the comments, because I don't really remember, but I'm pretty sure that Ko, the Red Ranger in Real Soldier, is the one who uses this key the most and first. Am I wrong about that? Because in this episode, Amelia uses it, and she is the one who actually pilots the Megazord in the front. But speaking of the Megazord, that's the important part. With this new Blazing Fury Key, we get a new Zord. In Real Soldier, you would know this Zord as Deem Volcano. He's called Dimetro in this one. They kind of took the first part of the word and put Metro at the end. So maybe he's just like Super Metro. But yeah, we have a new Zord that we can call upon and create a new Megazord. And that is called the T-Rex Blazing Megazord. And I've got to be honest, the red and orange color scheme, I like it. This is a cool one. I liked this one in Real Soldier as well. The thing that I do miss, I'm not saying we need it in Power Rangers, but the thing that I do miss, just because I do like Sentai a lot, and I like their tropes, in Real Soldier, and if you haven't watched it, the Zords can talk. They have personalities of their own. And when Dean Volcano shows up, his thing is riddles. He'll ask you a riddle. So now let's get to episode 10, the most important episode out of these 3. And I'll give a little bit more of the plot in this one. In episode 10, it starts out with Zato using this antenna-like device. He's trying to record a message to his people on Rafcon. Now, this is pushing the plot along a little bit, right? Not only are we as an audience genuinely interested on, the Rafconians and, what's going on Rafcon, if it's even still a planet, but we also know from spoiler alert, and you've probably seen this online, but we know that Aiyon, the Gold Ranger, is from Rafcon. So, we're waiting for that to happen. So, he's sending out this, kind of like a distress signal, like, hey, if there's any Rafconians out there in the universe, please, respond. In this episode, something that also relates to Real Soldier, we get a villain that I've been waiting for to show up because he was a pretty big part of Real Soldier, which is Wiseru, and he's kind of like a showman. He's kind of like a stage guy. I'm doing my Gokai Silver pose. He's kind of like a stage guy. He doesn't like to be upstage. He's very narcissistic. And it's funny because in Power Rangers, they brought his character in, and he's called Slyther. And Slyther is very similar. They didn't really change the personality, at least. They changed his role in the show, but they didn't really change the personality, and I like that. And he's a shapeshifter, which gives him a pretty awesome ability. So obviously, you can see where this is going. He's a shapeshifter. He takes the form of a Rafconian and fools the Rangers, but there's one character he doesn't fool, and that's Zolon. And Zolon knows that, hey, let's slow down here. We don't really know who this person is, if they really are from Rafcon. Let's take it slow. She puts this character through a few, I think the name is Arla. She puts Arla through a few tests, and Arla fails, obviously. So then, since Slyther knows that he's, the jig is up, he turns into himself. They actually have a fight. Yo, Zolon can fight, bro. Zolon is no joke. And while this is all going on, obviously we have the classic, the leader, Zato, is being duped by this person because he's being blinded by, his need and holding the, what do they call that? Keeping the candle lit for, Rafconians to come and say, hey, yeah, we're here. He's so hopeful that he's blinded by Arla and thinks, no, this is a Rafconian. So it's a classic plot move. But he obviously comes to his senses in the end. And him and Zolon, who were having, were butting heads a little bit earlier in the episode, they make up. Now, why I think this is more important is because, again, this is a plot driver to Aiyon showing up and us learning more about who Aiyon is and where he's been this whole time. I'm curious, is he going to show up because of the signal? Is he responding to this distress call? Also, is Aiyon, how old is Aiyon? Because Zato was in, some type of, deep sleep that Zolon's been keeping him in. Is Aiyon, a young adult? Is he a descendant, maybe, or family of Zato? Let's find out. So now, some things that I really liked about this episode, and going back to the villains again. Void Knight is so done with all of the Power Rangers tropes. There's a point where they're doing their roll call, and they're doing, Tyranno Fury, Red Ranger, Anklo Fury, Pink Ranger. And by the time that they're all done with that, he's like, yeah. And in the beginning of this episode, Mucus is preparing Slyther and talks about the paint job that she gave him. And he's like, who cares about colors? We're not Power Rangers. I just think it's funny that Void Knight is just done with them. There's a part where they have to call the Zords, and since Zolon is missing because Slyther defeated her, they need to override using their morphers and call the Zords. And his password to call the Zords is Zato is cool. And again, it just plays on the whole Zato thing about, he's just not cool. He's just not cool because he's not from this time. The adult in me is was cool even a term 65 million years ago? Probably not, but I get it. Amelia got to use the Mega Fury Saber inside of the Blazing Dino Mega, whatever you want to call it. Another thing is, I don't always comment on the Jane J-board comedy, but this one I thought was pretty funny. In this episode, Jane has this collar that you could put on any android, and that android will immediately become a cat. And when she asked J-Borg to demonstrate it in front of everyone at Buzz Blast, J-Borg's initial reaction is, will this embarrass me? And I thought that was, I know it's a throwaway line, but I thought that was funny because J-Borg is just so used to Jane now, and just so used to like, her antics that she knows, like, oh, this is probably a bad idea. So I thought that was funny. Then the other thing is, not only, I mean, she is an android, so maybe I know she has some type of, like, technology that can grow things, but when she puts the collar on, she actually gets cat ears. So immediately I was like, oh god, the cat made people, the cat made people, the cat made people. So guys, when do you think that Aiyon is gonna show up? Is he gonna be in the next episode? Are they gonna tease more about calling Ravcon? That's something that they're doing really well in Dino Fury, by the way. They're setting things up well. I like that they're doing that. Are we getting episodic, just Monster of the Week episodes? Yes, but they're doing a good job in driving the plot, which they don't do that in every series, let's be honest. It just doesn't happen in every series, but I appreciate it. And what were your favorite parts of episodes 9, 10, and 11? Is there anything that I left out that you think is worth mentioning? Leave it down in the comments. Are all of you really into Void Knight and Mucus as I am? Because I think that they're super funny. Those characters have really grown on me. So if you want to keep up with Power Rangers Dino Fury information and my opinions on it, if you care, make sure to subscribe to the channel and go ahead and follow me on all the social media networks, Instagram, TikTok. Don't even, honestly, I leave Snapchat in here, don't even bother, I'm never on it. Twitter, I'm on every once in a while. So that's it, everyone. Hope you guys had a great weekend and may the power protect you.